We're going to talk a little bit about steel and steel pipes. And we're going to get Harjinder's view on where steel has been within the UK-India partnership as well. So welcome to you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Tell us first of all about your business, because within India, it's a pretty incredible part of the UK-India, or the India infrastructure story. So Dhruv, give us a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Dhruv Singla from GDP Industries. So we are one of the largest manufacturers of ERW steel pipes in India. So the ERW steel pipes is a segment in where it's used for low pressure water, gases, and even for structural purposes like airports, railways, smart city buildings. So everywhere you see around you, even in furniture, so everywhere there's some sort of pipe that is being used today. It's a direct replacement of wood, I would say. Mm-hmm. So that's where the push is coming from, that we are able to use it in newer ways with a sustainable purpose. So
you're working on solar as well, right? The solar part of your business is a growing part, 15% solar panel structures, is that right?
Yes. So we are one of the major contributors to the megawatt projects that are happening in India, the gigawatt projects. So we provide the base structures for the laying out of solar in India. So the Indian push on solar is about $3.5 billion. And there's another segment, which is the Jal Jeevan Mission, which is putting the potable water to the houses of India. That sector is about $10 billion. Mm-hmm. So,
and that's to provide safe and adequate drinking water, yes, to a household tap in every single house in India by 2024.
Yes.
That's a big job.
Yes. So yeah, we are one of the major contributors in that as well. So we supply galvanized steel pipes for that safe potable water drinking, for the last mile connectivity to the households, for the taps that's going to be installed in there.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. I'll come back to you in a minute. Harjinder, give us a sense of where steel is, what role steel plays in the trade between the UK and India, and if there's any issues there.
Steel is one of those strategic industries that every nation wants to make sure it has a capability within. And many nations have used steel as sometimes a bargaining chip. Many a time you see steel being used in a non-trade way. And certainly the UK is very clear about wanting to keep its steel capability intact. And certainly we have Indian investment into the steel industry in the UK, quite a lot of it, to be fair. And so that's something which the government's constantly keeping an eye on to make sure that they are as competitive as they can be. And certainly if you look at some of the components that go into making of steel, energy is one of the big things, and you all know what's happening with energy prices. So, but in terms of the aspirations in India, you've got to just admire, the ambition of what we're about to do over there. So, hats off to you, and hopefully it'll come off. But yeah, it's an important part of the UK economy.
So, I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about what you'd like to see from a UK-India free trade deal, Dhruv.
Yeah. So we believe that movement is the key. So when we are producing steel in India, we require certain aspects of movement where India is one of the lowest and the most sustainable key players in producing steel. And after the pandemic, it's become the China plus one model, where everybody wants to rely to a reliable source, which is India. So with the entry of free trade agreement with the UK, it gives us an opportunity, and it shows to the world that what India can do in that aspect. With that free trade agreement, that more countries would want to build that same forum with India, so that they can benefit with the China plus one model.
Okay, China plus one model, of course, is very, very important. Harjinder, is steel one of the issues that the UK and India have butted heads on in previous years?
I wouldn't say head on, but there have been sort of In the recent sort of past, there have been steel safeguards which have been put into place in the UK, primarily to protect the UK industry sector. Otherwise, it will fold. We can't afford to risk that. So effectively, the government put in place steel safeguards last year. Discussions with India in terms of what does it mean for our relationship with India, obviously, is key. And it didn't really play a part in the FTA, but outside of the FTA, we've had discussions.
Briefly, I'd love to hear, Dhruv, about when you sell to the UK, because I believe about 15% of your output goes to UK and the rest of the world. You'd like the banking transfers to be faster. Tell us about that.
Yes. So when we export from the Indian area, the process of export takes about 25 to 30 days to reach the UK or the European continent. So what happens in that process is that we have to provide credit here to the UK companies, wherein they're able to pay us at the time of delivery. But as you well know, that the credit situation in India is the most expensive per se, according to at the world level. So where we want that transactions to be well funded to the buyers here, so that they're able to pay us in time, so that we are able to make a costing more better for them. So that's what we want. So
you want to potentially speed up the time it takes for money to go from the UK to India. Now, does that fall within a trade partnership, or is that more of a bank-to-bank? How does that work, Harjinder?
It's partly to do with how frictionless is it to do the transactions. So there's a little bit of that in the trade deal in terms of things like customs. We have a customs chapter which is closed, so we've managed to get through that quite quickly. And the rest is, the financial processes in terms of which banks are able to operate where and so on. That also helps. So there are bits that touch it, but primarily it's transactional.
Is there anything you think that could be better, Harjinder?
International trade, it requires money to be moved relatively quickly. And if we can improve that, certainly if you look at the way the digital economy is evolving in India, if some of that then moves into the sort of international trade, the financing side, it can only help. Okay.
Very briefly, Dhruv, what's in the future for JTL? What are you looking forward to in the next few years? Yeah,
so one of our biggest targets is to, by the end of 2030, we want to reach a capacity of 2 million tons, which currently per se would be about only the 10% of the Indian ERW steel market. So right now we are at a capacity of 0.6 million tons. So that's our major goal, and be one of the key players in the development of our nation and the nations that we deal with.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Really lovely to see you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we've just heard from Dhruv Singla, Executive Director of JTL Industries. Thank you.